Okay, good evening, everybody. So we'll recite, read up to three verses. Okay, up to three verses. Everyone got right. I bow to the Holy Lama. I'll explain as I can the essential meaning of the Conqueror scriptures.
With path praised by the excellent conqueror children,
the port of the fortunate wish represent. Whoever just to the praise,
whoever strives to make leisure and fortune worthwhile, whoever are inclined to the path pleasing the conqueror Buddha, those fortunate ones should listen with a clear mind.
Without a complete intention, definitely to live cyclic existence.
There is no way to stop seeking pleasurable effects in the ocean of existence. Also, craving cyclic existence thoroughly binds the embodied. Therefore, in the beginning,
an intention to
live cyclic
existence should be sought. Okay. Okay. Last time we discussed the first line, that is paying homage to Holy Lamas, and then we also discussed the second verse, which explains about the promise being made by Lama Tsongkhapa in writing the following body of the text. Now we are on the third verse. So in the third verse, what we have here is Gangda sibe tela machashi denjur deyu jajir zombayi gyawa gebe lamla yi tempe gelden deda dawe yigingen. So whoever are not attached to the pleasures of transient existence. So here Lama Tsongkhapa refers to the fact that the pleasures or the joys or the happinesses, whatever we experience in this cyclic existence. So cyclic existence it does not include just human existence. Also, the God's realm, as well as we have what we call as the hungry ghost realms, animal realm, and the hell realm, and like that 6 cyclic existences are there. So we have taken rebirth, in the human existence, right? Well, we are in the human world, right? Human world. So in our day-to-day experience, whatever pleasure, whatever joy, whatever happiness, whether it be physical, mental, or emotional, every one of them eventually transforms into some kind of pain and suffering. It doesn't, in other words, it never lasts forever. We go out for, when we have this bad weather, we try to go to, a warmer place, maybe to Atlanta, to Los Angeles, or like some try to fly to Mexico, like that, right? But then when you stay there, after staying maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you feel tired of it. You again wish to go back. to your home place and have the rain, experience. So this is our life, Yeah. And then you say, and Portland has, as I've been saying, you have so many expressions for the rain, diesel or whatever, this diesel, all kinds of, you have so many. With each of these names, you are actually expressing your feeling with the rain, expressing feeling with the rain. Each of these expressions have something to do with whether you are enjoying or whether you are depressed with it, or whether you are okay. Today I can bear it, But if it rains tomorrow, I'm not sure whether I will be able to bear it or not. So it's like that. So everything, what we have, so-called happiness, it's you eventually, transforms into some other things, kind of pain or suffering or like that. So that means that whatever the pleasure or joy or happiness or we are experiencing are not everlasting at all. This we need to appreciate from the very beginning, very from the very beginning. If we appreciate, it's not going to last long, then next day when you don't see sun, outside, you'll not be that disturbed because you have appreciated and and it's going to happen to you. It's going to be like this because you are in Portland and not in LA or San Francisco like that, right? So in this way, what we really need to understand is that whatever joy, whatever wonderful feelings, whatever, you go on appreciating it, but not too much being attached to it, too much attached to it. If you know the fact that it is impermanent, it's going to change, it's not going to last long, then this kind of understanding makes you not feel too much attached to your home, too much attached to your laptop, iPhone. When iPhone falls down, I sometimes also feel like that too, it's broken, right? It's broken. Then, so then when I see it's just the screen broken, then I'm a little bit okay, right? It's broken totally. Then, so there's reaction because we grasp on it too much. It's mine. It should be there. My car should never, break down. We think like this, My laptop should always work, My iPad, iPhone, whatever gadgets you have, from name it, from the kitchens and here everything is run on kind of machines, right? And machines are, machines. They break down at some point, right? And you need to appreciate, it's going to break down. So once we have this kind of, attitude of seeing everything as impermanent, not lasting long, then whenever we meet with these changes, we will not be very much disturbed, and our mind will be at, in a very calm, still state. For example, even losing job is very much like that. There's chance of losing your job. There's chance of meeting with some, difficult boss. It's just because we are there. This is the world. What we have to understand. If you are working at your home, even then we have so many difficulties. Even without boss, even you are just yourself employer. Because you have to finish certain things on time. You have to pay the bills. Being self-employed has so many things again. In your hand now. Very recent. I think you all have paid tax, right? Already, right? So self-employed people have some difficulties in paying tax. Employees have also like samsara. It's samsara. So in between, we have to appreciate. In the midst of all these happenings, events, we have to appreciate what is with you and enjoy the best. Have it. If you are able to have a good coffee this morning, have it, enjoy it, right? And once you are enjoyed, say it's done, right? So like that. Whatever in your life. So in Buddhism do not reject that you should, saying that you should not enjoy the life. Buddhism expresses that there should be enjoyment in us. Because life is for enjoyment. Life is not for suffering. We are not born to suffer. We are not born to meet with all kinds of pains and difficulties. We are born to enjoy the life. In the midst of enjoyment, we are born to find a meaningful and purposeful life. Am I making sense, right? Mm-hmm. Meaningful and purposeful life must be, found while enjoying everything, whatever you have. Having what we call as, in Tibetan we call Geshe. Geshe means almost like contentment. Contentment is regarded in Tibetan saying, Norge nane cho shebane norge cho, All the wealths, contentment is the supreme wealth. Right? It's true. Whatever we have, of course, it's not rejecting that you do not go to find a better house, or better car. It's not rejecting. Whatever you have at the present, appreciate it, and then you can work for finding a better house too, better job too, better position. All these are part and parcel of our life, part and parcel of life. But within the what we call as within the jurisdiction of ethical life, within the jurisdiction of ethical life. So of course, everyone is entitled to a good salary, good job, wonderful family, a wonderful house. Every one of us is entitled. The Buddhism never rejects that you go live like Milarepa, Milarepa, he's a special person, he lived like that, Of course, if you could live like that, that's a different situation, right? Then you leave everything behind and follow the path of Milarepa, right? That's wonderful if you could do. Otherwise, you are in the world. You are in this conventional world, Conventional world means in conventional world, everything happens. Everything is bound to happen, right? Am I making sense? Mm-hmm. If you follow Milarepa life, and if you could not continue the Milarepa life, then you are back again in the samsara, right? You are back again in this world, right? You are totally new. Things have already changed, right? For example, these days, everything, so much changes going on with, our, what do you call this, internet and everything, right? And you're staying in the remote place even for 3 months. When you come back, maybe already 5G has arrived, and you don't know how to operate with 5G, right? So fast going, it's so fast. So you have to cope with it, and you have to live. So what I really mean is that within whatever you have, within the limits, whatever you have, appreciate it and move forward it. Appreciate, move from better to better. And while moving yourself from better to better, better health, better car, better phone. While being able to do all these betters, if you are able to find time and time to practice yourself, improve within yourself, you have achieved really wonderful. You have achieved wonderful, really, really wonderful, right? That's why here we say, in the second line, we see, so that is the whatever strive to make leisure and fortune worthwhile, right? Leisure and fortune. So it's about appreciation of the leisure. Actually means leisure means having time and opportunity to practice the Dharma. And endowment means we not only have the time and opportunity to practice, but we have this healthy mind and body. Our 5 senses are working wonderfully, and the 6th sense is also working, functioning wonderfully, right? So externally and internally, all the conducive conditions are present within us for making this a life a worthwhile, a meaningful one. How we can make our life worthwhile, meaningful one is try to cultivate, virtuous actions as much as possible, and try to work on removing non-virtuous actions from your mind stream. In all, in Lama Tsongkhapa's teaching, the great stages of the path to enlightenment, he sums up that how we should work on making this life a meaningful life. One is that then in that outline he says Danjo le nyingbu lembar kuwa nyingbu chidar lembe chul, and then he explains about the practices or the stages of the path for a person of small scope. Then he explains the practice or the stages of the path for the middling scope, and then the practices or path for the person of great scope. Danjo le nyingbu lembar kuwa means exhorting the disciples to engage in finding, making your life a meaningful one. Nyingbu chidar lembe tsul means how to work on making your life a meaningful one, right? And then he explains these 3, scopes of training. Scopes of training, or the training for the path of person for the beginner scope, middling scope, and advanced students like that. Right? So in the person of the beginning scope, he explains about the what we call as Danjor Nyeka. Or in other words, how difficult it is to find precious human birth, how transient precious human birth is, like that. In other words, then with this, he explains that now we have achieved this precious human birth, but how long we are going to live? That's very important question to ask. So in this way, here Lama Tsongkhapa Tenjur Chachir Tsamba Yi means make this precious human birth a meaningful one. It's very whatever we have right now is very transient. It's very transient, and it's momentary, right? It's the precious human birth will never. What we have achieved it, but it's not going to last long. It's the longest, as His Holiness says, that the longest we could stay would be, maybe around 100. We have some people living 105 and like that. But by the time we have reached 105, I think we are almost like vegetable, real. We are just there, and we won't be able to do anything meaningful. Instead, we would become very much kind of a burden for some other people. We won't be able to move, we won't be able to eat, we won't be able to speak, like that. So there's constant need of someone to help us, like that, right? So we need to find out which is now between what time we are most capable, between what time we are most. Right now, we are most capable time, right now. After 80s, I think it's very difficult, We become very forgetful. And nowadays we see, people after 80s, 40s, there's tendency of, people meeting with the mental illnesses such as dementia, Alzheimer, like that, right? And very big, very, very forgetful. So this is the best time. We have the most. So we are not too young. We are not too old to practice. We are right there time, to practice. So we have to extract this time to make it really meaningful oneself, meaningful for others, or helpful for others. So as I mentioned one time, in the practice, what we say is that some practitioners, advanced or those who have really put into practice, they are able to die in a very joyful way. And the middling practitioners, they are able to die without any regret. And the third practitioners would be dying, what would be my next? Because I have not done anything that would transform my life into a better rebirth in next life, right? So if we are, that is certain, right? We will have more explanation next time, in next stanza. But if we're going to die in a regret or remorse, then it is too late. It's too late. So here I have noticed that it's a wonderful, very, very wonderful tradition what you have. In many cases, I'm just generalizing it. That at certain age, when someone is about to die, I met some people like that, and who were able to, regret and accept whatever they did wrong, accept it, regret it, and then let go like that, right? I noticed because I had chances to visit some of dying people here in America quite a few times. So that's wonderful, right? Wonderful way of dying. In our life we make mistakes. Yes, we are not Buddha, right? Mistakes. And some mistakes could sometimes remain very, very, very deeply in our heart, and we won't be able to share or express that these mistakes are done with the family relation, with the children's relation, with the friends, and like that. These are sometimes some of these, could remain in our heart very, very deeply, and we take them until we die. But there are times when we were able to say sorry to someone who had done, so whoever, who we did something wrong. And being able to say sorry will make that person, because you are ending your life, right? And you are speaking from the depth of true genuineness from your depth of heart. So that person, whoever is left behind, will have wonderful, how should I say, experience. And that thereby this man dies and this woman dies, but in a very, very truly a beautiful way. I've noticed like that, right? So such things are also part of our life. Such things are part of life. So main thing is Nyingbu Lemba. That means we need to extract the essence of this precious human birth. And look around. No other species in this universe have this kind of brain we human has. No other species. Always amazing. This human brain is so amazing, so amazing. We have done all this, this now. I'm so, sometimes, when we think about the programmers, right? Incredible. They're using their brain, right? They're using their brain. Being able to go in the moon, being able to send the machine, on the Mars. Incredible. They could even, when they descend, even the slightest second is missed. It's total disaster, right? But they could count on it with the use of computers and that. Who created computers? We humans created computers, right? So we have the potential, 100%. So sometimes I wonder how wonderful if these, people at Silicon Valley could instead of totally get their mind into this kind of external programmings, if they could program something for their enlightenment, maybe someone they could achieve something. I think it's very interesting. Everything is, whole energy is geared towards external achievement, and we have achieved so much, and more are achieving. Now what we call artificial intelligence, right? Incredible, right? Who would have thought that we would have, artificial intelligence, right? In Columbus, there is a car, it's run on artificial intelligence. I think it's a public service also, And then in Japan, you see some of these, looks like toys, right? But they are able to perform so many things that we humans are, needed to be employed, right? So why we have this intelligence to differentiate, what is good, what is bad. If we have this intelligence, even if, what I always think is that, even if we, out of 100%, even if we could devote like 20% of our intelligence to the Dharma, we will be different, totally different. Very much improved. Look at, how much time we are devoting to our Dharma practice. Very, very insignificant. Very insignificant. So if we could, expand from, 10 minutes, 20 minutes to even 1 hour, 2 hours a day, you will see, really, I assure you, we will see changes in our, in our mental attitude. Transformation is changing. We'll definitely see like that, right? So what is lacking is the determination and the continued effort to make ourselves in bringing about some changes within ourselves. That is why here we see, danger that's, the second line, right? Whoever strive to make leisure and fortune are worthwhile, right? And then the third line we see is then whoever are inclined to pleasing to the path pleasing the conqueror Buddha. So whoever is inclined to pleasing the Buddha pleases when we see, when we do something positive, virtuous action. When we cultivate compassion, Buddha is pleased. When we do cultivate mind of bodhicitta, Buddha is pleased. When we, for example, when we start from Lamrim, when we cultivate the refuge practice, Buddha is pleased. So, gyalwa gebe lamla yitan pe means, so yitan ba means relying on the paths which would make Buddhas and Bodhisattvas pleased. So these paths are, from taking refuge to meditating on Four Noble Truths and cultivating mind of renunciation, cultivating mind of bodhicitta, cultivating wisdom of reality, all these. And within these practices include ourselves engaging into transforming one's life. When we say going for refuge, when we say going for refuge, when we say going for refuge, we are saying, Buddha, you have achieved the enlightenment. I also want to follow you. We are not saying, Buddha, please, take me to the enlightenment. We are not saying today, I'll board the train and take me to the train. Not like that, right? We are saying, I am here to practice. Please give us the blessing. Buddha could only do is, what Buddha could do only is blessing. Give us the blessing. And the blessing only comes when we start doing something from our side, Just go on sleeping and then saying, Buddha bless me. Buddha will laugh at you, He will say, oh, how come? Because you are not doing anything, you are just sleeping, If you want my blessing, wake up, and do the practice. Then I'll see you, and then I'll give you the blessing. Right? So from the very outset of practice, the starting point of our practice is going for refuge. So refuge itself teaches us that we need to start practicing. Like that. So gyalwa gepe lamla yitan pe means completely relying on the practice. We need to completely rely on the practice. Completely rely on, whether it is, practice of meditation on, or practice of meditation on refuge, or on impermanence, or as I mentioned, mind of bodhicitta, and whatever practice you do, do it diligently with determination. Then you will see practice. Then you will see some development, some improvement. If you do it today, and then if you don't, next day you don't do it, it's habit, right? Kind of a positive habit forming, right? Positive habit forming also is also like negative habit forming, right? Negative habit forming is like, for example, oh, now you have, I don't know, I'm very, very worried, here you have what we call as cannabis, right? Now you can buy from market, right? I'm very worried, especially for these kids, I hope they will not indulge, they will not indulge, of not. So habit is formed. Even with Coke too, habit is forming. Even with coffee, I'm almost starting to form habit with coffee. So I am saying, not today, only on good occasions, Only you have something, then you can have coffee like that. It's habit forming. So good habit forming is there, bad habit forming is there. So, never indulge in bad habit forming. And mental habit forming, mentally bad habit forming is, attachment, hatred, jealousy. All these are mental habits. All these habits. And then once these habits are in our mind stream, they come about, spontaneously. Just because we have formed, for example, short-temperedness as a habit. If you have formed, then just a click, being able to stay, being able to, when you are made to wait for the red light, you count the seconds, You count seconds, tuck, 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 right? So, because you cannot stand now. It's like this starting to shake, because you have formed the habit day in and day out. Then that's why we have to practice relaxing. Relax yourself, right? I one time suggested you, when you are at the red light, or when you are in traffic jam, I suggested you to just recite some mantras, Okay, but don't concentrate too much, right? Be practical, right? Recite some mantras, release your, this negative energy like that, right? So these are things what we can do in our life. Improvement is seen when we do all these wonderful, good habit formings day in and day out. Then we have surely, achieved something when we become, when we get to our late age, like that. So that is why Damdul, that is why here, and then we have the third or the fourth line is that those fortunate ones should listen with a clear mind. Gelden teda dawe yiji nyen. Gelden means the fortunate ones. So we are the fortunate ones. Really, we are the fortunate ones. Why? We have achieved this precious human birth. We have the opportunity to practice the Dharma. Not only that, we have met with the teacher who would teach the Dharma, who would teach the practice. And then also in our life, we can devote some of time to the practice of the Dharma. Even though you have a very busy life, you are able to extract some time and devote this time, that kind of time, with the practice of the Dharma. So very, very fortunate. Look at we have thousands and millions of people in this world, right? Or 7 point some million, right? Out of 7 point some million, how many people are able to meet with the Dharma first? And then how many people are able to practice the Dharma? And how many people are able to, meet with a teacher who will teach the Dharma? So, Gelden, that is why Lama Tsongkhapa he's not referring to just the particular disciple, but he's referring to us. You are the fortunate ones. You are the fortunate ones. So, being fortunate, now in the same line, he says that being fortunate, you are getting the teaching. You are receiving the teaching. And when you receive the teaching, receive or listen the teaching with a clear mind. So, with a clear mind means that I mentioned last time also that surne loden dönyer ve nyambunneji jawar she means our mind should be unbiased. Loden temba means knowledgeable, being able to perceive the knowledge. Loden temba, in other words, intelligent. Dönyer wa means döndonyerwa means having intention to learn or receive the teaching. So without having intention to learn and receive teaching, you won't be learning or receiving the teaching. And even though you have the intention, if you don't have the intelligence to grasp the teaching, then you will not see improvement in with your practice. Even though you have intelligence, if your mind is not impartial, then you, from the very beginning, you will have kind of what do you call prejudiced idea and prejudgmental. Where you might think, oh, this guy is just saying, something that I know already, like that, right? Oh, I want to see what this guy is saying, like that, So, when he says this, maybe he is not practicing, he is just, like that. So, you will not improve because you have this prejudgmental mind from the very beginning. So, come with impartial mind, come with intelligent mind, and with a intention, determination, even willpower to practice the Dharma. So Lama Tsongkhapa here is exhorting us to, listen to the teachings with these three attitudes. And then also with these three attitudes, we also need to, when we listen to the teaching, in the Lamrim it is clearly mentioned that when we have any kind of sickness, right, what we do is that if it's just a small headache, then maybe you take a Tylenol and you are okay, better, right? Otherwise, if you have some serious sickness, you have to go to a hospital and seek for the doctor. And then doctor advises these, takes diagnosis and then gives you medication. And then you have to take the medication to, cure yourself. In the same way, it is said that you should be seen yourself as a patient, and the Buddha as a doctor, and his teaching as a medicine, and the nurses. We are all nurses together, helping each other as as a collection of nurses. And then what you need to do is you need to take the pills or the whatever any medication that is prescribed for you. So we are really like a sick person, mentally, emotionally. We are really sick. We have all these problems because of our internal sickness, as I mentioned last time too. We are sick with attachment, sick of hatred, anger, jealousy, all this, you name all these negative emotions. We are suffering from all these negative emotions. So who's teaching you to free from? Who's diagnosing? Buddha diagnosed our sickness. And that's why he taught Four Noble Truths as treatment or as remedy for relieving us from these mental sicknesses. And then the hosts of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Manjushri, Avalokiteshvara, Tara, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and then host of Sangha. Here we are a group of Sangha, because we share and learn from each other with this wonderful Sangha. Sanghas are our almost like nurses, you name it, RN nurse, you have this RN nurse, CN nurse, helpers and like that. All these are there. And we all are here to help each other in healing the sickness of negative emotions. Now, what is left is we ourselves has to participate. So that is what the doctor usually say, right? You have to participate. Otherwise, you won't heal. Otherwise, you won't heal from any kind of disease, right? You have to participation. The participation, you have to be participant in, carrying out, in taking or listening or carrying out whatever doctor has mentioned to you, advice to you. So if he says take this pill, you need to take the pill. If he says, sleep, you sleep. Okay, maybe sleeping is not a problem, right? Otherwise, you have to do whatever he has said if you want to heal and cure, like especially quickly, like that, right? So that is why in the Shantideva's text, menche lakwa tsamgine never lani pengyur tam. Just by reading medical texts will not benefit the patient, will not heal the patient. Menche lakwa tsamgine. So doctor comes and he recites, he reads all these, big medical texts, and if he doesn't prescribe you medicine, you won't heal, right. And you got at least you got the transmission, right? Transmission of the medical text, right? But this is not going to work for you. But that's why. Menche lakwa tsamgine never lani pengyur tam. Just by reading texts, medical texts, it's not sufficient to heal or cure the patients. So there is two ways. Doctors have to prescribe the medication. You have to take the medication seriously, on time, without forgetting, right? Then there is chance to heal, a chance to cure your disease, like that. So, kelten teda tawe yigin ngen means listen with a clear mind. So, when these conditions are present, when these conditions, as I mentioned, are present, your mind becomes very clear, lucid. Clarity and lucidity of mind is so important in every activity of our life. Whether it's a mundane activity or whether it's a spiritual activity. Even cooking some food, we need clarity of mind, right? If our mind is foggy when we cook, what might happen next, right? You have so many experiences, right? So everything, whatever do in our daily life, from the time we rise up to until we go to bed, everything, whatever do, we need clarity and lucid mind. So when these conditions are present, our mind becomes very clear and lucid, and also very, very sharpened. Mind has two characters. It's lucidity, and and then the power to penetrate. That is sharpness. Sharpness, right? Lucidity is there, but if the mind lacks the power to penetrate, then we won't be able to, go into the deepest meanings of teachings or deepest meanings of whatever subject is taught. Clarity is there, but it is not sufficient. Within the clarity, we need to cultivate the the power to penetrate into the depth of the meaning. That's why, there is the teaching. Maybe we'll get to there next time. If there's the teaching, unity or union of calm abiding, unity of shamatha or vipassana, or unity of calm abiding, or we call special insight. Calm abiding makes your mind calmed, peaceful, with a tranquility. But within that state of tranquil, peaceful mind, you need to cultivate the special insight, which is able to penetrate into the ultimate nature of mind as well as ultimate nature of phenomena, like that, right? So in this way, Kelden Teta Tawe Yiki Ngen means listen to my teaching. Lama Tsongkhapa is saying he's addressing to his one of his disciples. Right? He wrote this to one of his disciples. So he's listen with a clear mind to my following teachings, like that, right? So this is the verse which is exhorting the disciple to how to listen to Lama Tsongkhapa's teaching. Okay, so now we will. Without complete intention, right? Definitely to leave the cyclic existence. There is no way to stop seeking pleasurable effects in the ocean of some existence. And craving cyclic existence thoroughly binds the embodied. Therefore, in the beginning, an intention to leave cyclic existence should be sought. So in the Tibetan text, we have Namda Ngeju Meba Sitsuyi Dende Dönye Shiwe Tab Mela Sila Tamba Yigyang Luchen Nam Gune Chinjir Thoma Ngejun Zel. So now this verse explains about why we need to work on cultivating mind of renunciation. So of the three essential parts, the first is mind of renunciation, right? Second is mind of bodhicitta, and third is my wisdom of emptiness. So now he's discussing about the cultivation of mind of renunciation. Okay, mind of renunciation. So namda ngeju meba sitsu yi dende dengir shiwe tab mela. So without the mind of renunciation, it is not possible for us to work for achieving the liberation. Work for achieving the liberation. So now we need to know what is liberation actually. What is liberation? And we also need to know what is enlightenment. Tharpa, we have two words, okay? Tharpa and then Tamche Khenpa. Tharpa means liberation. And Tamche Khenpa means full enlightenment. So liberation is achieved when our ignorance is completely removed from our mind stream. Am I making any sense? So liberation is achieved when our ignorance is, or in other words, sometimes we also call these three poisons I discussed with you last time, right? Three poisons. So the root of the two poisons, that is attachment and anger, is the poison of ignorance or self-grasping. So liberation is achieved when we are able to remove the self-grasping or ignorance from our mind stream. Until then, we are in the cyclic existence. So long as we have the mind of ignorance within our continuum, we continue to take rebirth in the cyclic existence. Sometimes in the human world, some other times in the lower realms, some other times in higher realms, like that. So, since we have understood that wherever we take rebirth in the cyclic existence, whether it be in God's realm or whether it's in human realm or hell realm, hungry ghost realm, hungry ghost realm we don't see ourselves very much, like that. But we see what we are able to see or experience is human world and the animal world. Now, how about hell world, right? Hell realm. How about hell realm? Is there hell realm or not? Is there hungry ghost realm or not? Two are obvious with us, right? Human world and animal world are obvious with us. And then is there God's realm or demigod's realm? We have six, cyclic existence, six areas where we take rebirth, right? 6 areas. 3 higher realm and 3 lower realm, right? So human, demigod, and God's realm. Lower realms, animal world, animal realm, hungry ghost realm, and hell realm, right? Am I making any sense? So in the Buddhist scripture, there's no other place where we can take rebirth. We don't speak about alien world, alien. Everyone is included, in this huge galaxies, the galaxies of the universe, galaxies are also included in one of these realms, in one of these realms, right? So who knows? Now we are searching for what we call water in Mars, right? We are searching for water in moon, right? And what we predict is that if there is water, there is the possibility for life, like that, right? So without water, there's no possibility of life, like that, right? So in any case, where the galaxies, millions of galaxies are there, right? Millions. And wherever we take rebirth, we are taking rebirth in what is called as within the area of cyclic existence. So now the question is whether there is all this, human realm is very obvious with us. We know them, we experience. Animal world is so, and within animal world, when we look into the ocean, there's so many countless numbers of species are there. So animal world species countless, whereas human species is not very countless, right? It's there, but we have 7 billion, already 7 billion like that, right? So species, all kinds of species are there. Now the question is, when we talk about these different realms, the question burdens with whether there is life after life or not. If there is no life after life, then we cannot explain the existence of hungry ghost realm as well as hell realm. And there'll be no explanation for the existence of a demigod's realm and the God's realm. But we see humans here, and we see animals here in this, at least in this animal in this our world. So the basic point comes to where really where I'm not going in detail, whether there is life after life, when this question is raised, then whether what goes into next life. Because this present body, ceases when we pass away. So is there something that goes into next life which will carry on what is called as the imprints of virtuous actions and non-virtuous actions into our next life? If there is one next life, then we can see it as an evidence or proof for having next life. If one is proved, then next life is proved. Like that, through logical reasoning. In any case, today we don't have much time. We need to really. I read in one book that I think I read it myself. Stephen Hawkins, right? He said that there is no life after life. I read it somewhere. He said like. So, not seeing something there, something existing, and not found something existent are two different. Conclusion saying, I did not see it and I conclude there is no life after life, is not a, what should I say, correct conclusion, from correct logical reasoning. I did research, I found it with these results, and there's no life after life. Something is proved, then it's a correct conclusion, correct logical reasoning, right? But I don't know how he has, on which kind of a logical reasoning or on which kind of research, he concluded that. I read it somewhere. You please find out, that I read it somewhere, in his teaching, in his book. There's no life after life here mentioned like that. But from the Buddhist perspective, there is life after life. So if there is life after life, then this life is just one single life. There will be many, many lives, future lives, right? So future lives is more important than this present life. So if you want to have better future lives, then we must work on achieving better future life. How we can achieve is transforming our mind, practicing, and then gain some kind of control of our mind when we pass away. If possible, we should be able to direct our mind. Oh, I want to take rebirth in United States, right? Take rebirth again in the United States, or take birth in Tibet, like that, or take birth somewhere else, right? Or Shambhala, like that, right? That's one possibility, right? If not, then cultivating a very, very, it's in the text what says that cultivate a very, very beautiful, virtuous mind at the time of death. That itself is like a power, power, the transparency of consciousness. This will take you to a very good life, next time, like that, right? So, now again, it's already 8, this time going so fast. So, anyway, what is really is that namda ngeju meba sisu yi dende te denye shiwe ta me la. So there's no possibility to achieving the liberation from the cyclic existence without first cultivating mind of renunciation. So now, in cultivating mind of renunciation comes the practice, what we call as cultivating mind of renunciation is in the what we call person of middling scope. stages of the path for a person of middling scope. And in that, we have to understand again the stages of the path for the person of beginner scope. So where it comes the meditation on impermanence, preciousness of human birth, and then also cultivating the refuge practice. So refuge practice is really, really very important. I will discuss this next time, okay? Next time, very, it's the gateway to becoming a Buddhist practitioner. What determines whether you are a Buddhist or not is whether you have understanding of refuge and whether you practice refuge or not, So we'll have a more discussion, good discussion on next session, okay? So, okay. So, time is too short, right? So,